So, you own property in Romania, and you've probably got a deed tucked away somewhere safe. You might think that piece of paper is the final word on your ownership, right? Well, from a legal standpoint, the true bedrock of your rights is actually something else entirely. It's called cadastral documentation. Let's break down exactly what that means.
And really, this is the core question we need to tackle, because in Romania, a deed by itself just doesn't cut it. Real, solid, enforceable ownership comes from getting your property correctly registered in the national system. If you skip that crucial step, you're leaving yourself surprisingly vulnerable.
So here's our game plan. We're going to look at this in 4 parts. First, we'll talk about the core problem of proving ownership. Then, we'll dive into Romania's unified system that's designed to solve it. After that, we'll walk through the actual process and what's at stake. And finally, we'll look at how to handle those more complicated ownership situations.
Okay, so what's the fundamental issue here? You might have a perfectly valid sales contract or a deed. But in the eyes of Romanian law, that's really just the opening chapter of the story. The true backbone of any legally binding property transaction is something much more official.
And this is the absolute crucial point. Without that proper registration in the official land book, you can't really enforce your rights. And this isn't just some bureaucratic checkbox. Any delays or errors here can completely derail a sale, block you from getting a mortgage, and expose you to some serious financial and legal headaches down the road.
So how does Romania solve this whole problem of proof? Well, the answer is a modern, integrated system that basically acts as a shield for property owners. It's a framework specifically designed to merge all the technical details with the legal facts, creating one single authoritative record for every single property.
And at the very heart of this system is the cadastral documentation. You can think of it as your property's official biography. It combines those super precise technical surveys, where your exact boundaries are, the exact size of your land, with all the legal paperwork that proves who actually owns it. The result? A unique, unchangeable record.
It all really boils down to a simple but incredibly powerful equation. You take the technical data, what the property physically is, and you fuse it with the legal validation, who it belongs to. What you get is a single source of truth. And once that record is registered, it becomes your ultimate shield against any unauthorized or fraudulent claims.
Now, the real-world impact of having this unified approach is just huge. By putting the cadastre and the land registry under one administrative roof, the system gets rid of those old conflicts between technical plans and legal papers. For you, this means faster processing, way fewer discrepancies, and predictable timelines. It's a single, central place where everyone, lawyers, banks, and owners, can find reliable information, which is what makes your rights truly enforceable.
Okay, let's get practical for a minute. How does a property actually get registered? And more importantly, what happens if you don't follow the process correctly? This is exactly where the technical details meet some very real-world consequences. Every single submission has to go through this incredibly rigorous 6-stage review. The system checks everything: the credentials of the surveyor who did the work, it cross-checks the property's location in the national database, it verifies the accuracy of the measurements, and it makes sure all the written descriptions perfectly match the maps. Only after it passes every single one of those checks does it get a unique ID and the final stamp of approval from an inspector.
And the stakes? Well, they become crystal clear when you look at these everyday situations. Let's say you're selling a home. With proper documents, it's a standard process. With missing documents, your contract could be voided. Developing land? It's the difference between getting your financing approved or getting a flat-out refusal from the bank. Even a simple inheritance can go from a smooth transfer to a nasty, prolonged court battle. The bottom line is, compliance is absolutely non-negotiable.
A really key part of this system's integrity is this kind of two-key system of responsibility. On one side, you have authorized professionals like surveyors who are legally responsible for the accuracy of the measurements they take on the ground. Then, on the other side, you have government inspectors who act as the final gatekeepers, validating all of that data before it gets registered. Both roles are absolutely essential.
Okay, but what about those situations that aren't so straightforward? What if you've been living on and using a piece of land for decades, but you just don't have the standard paperwork? Fortunately, Romanian law does provide some alternative paths to secure your rights.
One of the most important of these pathways is a legal concept called Usucapion. You might know it as adverse possession. To put it simply, it's a way for someone who has used a property for a very long time, and I mean publicly, peacefully, and without any interruption, to formally acquire the ownership rights through a court decision.
So, how long is long enough? Well, the Civil Code generally outlines 2 main timelines. The most common path requires you to prove 10 years of possession. Now, in some more specific or complex situations, that period can get extended to 30 years. But either way, the core requirement is always the same. You have to prove that your control over that land was consistent, uninterrupted, and totally visible to everyone.
And this, right here, is where getting expert legal help becomes absolutely critical. Cases that involve things like inheritance disputes, partial deeds, or Usucapion are incredibly complex. You need a specialized legal strategy to navigate that process successfully and to prevent major problems down the line when you might want to sell the property or get a mortgage on it.
So, let's sum it all up. What are the big takeaways here? First, valid ownership in Romania requires that precise alignment between the technical reality of your property and its legal record. Second, the country's integrated system is specifically designed to prevent errors and protect you. Third, failing to keep your documentation in order creates huge financial and legal risks. And finally, working with authorized professionals is absolutely the key to navigating this whole system efficiently and securely.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. You view your property as a valuable asset, right? An investment for your future. But the real question you should be asking yourself is this: have you made sure its legal foundation is built to last? Is it just as strong and secure as the physical building itself?